In case you missed it, folks, last night Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino had a big blowing up, or at least the story came out last night. They said this actually happened Wednesday, and Dan Bongino has not been back to work since. Don't know if he's going to resign or not. It has been thrown in the air. It's either Blondi or Bongino. And I got a little bit of facts to back that up. The whole Kash Patel maybe resigning as well was thrown in the ether. And we're going to get into all of that here directly. If you haven't heard, this is breaking as of last night, kind of late in the day, 7, 8 o'clock, before this news actually hit. Most of us didn't get it out that quick, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring to you all that I have about it this morning, including some more interesting facts that tie this stuff together, and something about my job here. If y'all stick around to the end. All right, folks, let's get into it. It says Kash Patel is not resigning. Will stay unless President Trump says otherwise. John Solomon teases big surprises for Maga bases coming in weeks to come. All right. Do a little bit of reading for you folks before we get into the video. Ooh, these are dirty. It says earlier Friday, rumors exploded across social media suggesting FBI Director Kash Patel might be joining FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino and stepping down after growing friction with Attorney General Pam Blondi. Bongino reportedly took a day off from the following heated confrontation with Blondi over a suppression of critical evidence tied to the Epstein scandal. According to CNN and the Daily Wire, Bongino was told confidence he is strongly considering resigning if Blondi remains at the DOJ. What it is, he's kind of losing his credibility by backing the lie, is what's happening at this point. Later Friday, the Daily Wire reported that Kash himself was frustrated with Blondi as well. DOJ stonewalling and might follow Bongino out the door if the stalemate continues. What it is, somebody over at the DOJ is running Pam Bondi, and she's obviously not smart enough to realize that she's the boss over there. And that's the truth. She probably can't get what she needs out of them, and so they're just feeding her a bunch of crap, and she's feeding it down the pipe to us, and it is not working for the American people. We are pissed off at being lied to, and them telling us there is no cover-up, there's nothing to cover up, nothing to see here, no more questions. That is not going to work for the American people, and people are not getting over this anytime soon. This has been going on for days and days. And Tucker, Alex Jones, and some of the bigger names have jumped up and said, this is going to blow up in your face, Trump, unless you do something to handle this. And everybody is speculating as to what is the reason that this is such a hot topic, why it's such a scandal, why such secrecy surrounds it. It's probably because this has been going on for about 25 years with our three-lettered agencies being involved, and nobody wants to tell that story. And that's probably the truth of the matter, including other countries involved with their intel agencies like Massad of Israel. But we'll get into that here directly. It says, according to John Solomon, Patel is overseeing one of the largest criminal conspiracy investigations in FBI history, a decade-long look into the coordinated effort to sabotage Donald Trump's presidency, re-election, and comeback bid. Now, I agree with that. That is looking into the whole Russia collusion hoax, but they don't need to just move on from one crime to the next. They need to have several investigations going at one time. They ought to be able to multitask. Since according to Solomon, Solomon teased that within the next 10 days, bombshell revelations would be made public, possibly exposing how weaponized federal agencies colluded to rig the political landscape against Trump and deceive the American people. So we're going to get a play-by-play of the laptop, the Russia collusion hoax, and all the stuff. We've already probably can tell the story as well as they can at this point, but we will have to see. So that's the big story now, is we're going after the former FBI and DOJ, CIA chiefs instead of anybody involved with the Epstein files, which is probably some of the same people. Just my guess. All right, let's go ahead and get into this video clip here. I thought this was definitely worth the listen.
What do you got for us, brother? We got a big live audience for you.
There are reports out there tonight that Kash Patel is considering resigning alongside Dan Bongino. It is not true. My reporting makes very clear. Kash Patel is going nowhere unless the president tries to move Kash Patel. He's there for the long haul. Why is that? Because the FBI has a major investigation that looks at the last 10 years of what happened to Donald Trump as one large conspiracy case. No one's going to give that opportunity up. Now, it is true that Dan Bongino is taking a few days to reconsider whether he wants to stay in the job. That's his decision. He's gone through these things before. There have been times when he's been on radio, he got mad, took a couple days off. I bet you he'll come back when it's all done. But Kash Patel is going nowheres. And I think next week, over the next 10 days, the base who's been wondering, where's all that accountability? They're going to get some big surprises over the next week concerning where the conspiracy began a few weeks before Crossfire Hurricane was open and when it ended, all the way in 2024, when they were still trying to pursue Donald Trump to keep him from winning the presidency. There's a big case that's been built by the Justice Department and the FBI. It's been masked by a lot of this infighting and drama and soap opera stuff. But the truth of the matter is, MAGA base Americans are going to be happy when they see where this is all heading in the next few weeks.
I hope so. I hope we don't just get, we know who the criminals are. We need to see people getting locked up. We need to see people being indicted, subpoenaed, put on trial, exposed, not just tell the story on Fox News, but actually get some accountability. Don't just tell us who the bad guys are. We know who the bad guys are in that particular situation with the Russia collusion, the weaponization, the whole entire FBI, DOJ, and CIA working against Trump, working against the election process, working for the Biden, working to cover up and censor so much of the information, which had a huge effect on the election. There's a dozen ways, if not 24 ways, that they subverted the will of the people and tried to get Trump out, tried to prevent him from winning the race, tried to lock him up. We know these things, but maybe we're going to get a documented, start to finish, play-by-play, who all was involved. In that case, don't you have to start a criminal investigation that just doesn't just tell the story, but actually exposes these people as criminals so they can be prosecuted? That's what I'm looking forward to. I don't want to just hear that Chuck Schumer's a bad guy or Adam Schiff's a bad guy and they lied for years. I don't want to hear that. I know that. I want to see Brennan, Clapper, Schumer, every one of these people that participated in the whole hating on Trump with this evil plan to subvert the will of the people, subterfuge, whatever you want to call it, usurping. It was bad, and as far as I'm concerned, it was treasonous, and it needs to be not just gotten to the bottom to who did it, who was involved, but how are we going to prevent them from ever doing it again? We're going to have to set an example by these folks. We have never before put a CIA director in prison before after we put him on trial before the court of public opinion, before Congress, and before a federal criminal court. I am so ready for this to happen, folks. And he said in 10 days we may get some of that. We may get some irons in the fire heated up to get some prosecutions going. We will have to see. Sounds good. I'm still not going to get over this Epstein thing, though. Pam Blondi needs to go, and that is the consensus over here on X. Says in a memo there was a memo also suggested that no further Epstein documents would be released to the public. Late Friday, it was reported that numerous sources that Bongino was considering resigning if Pam Blondi stayed at the DOJ. Blondi is out of control, furious. The person who has spoken with the deputy FBI director said, according to NBC, that this destroyed his career. He's threatened to quit and torch Pam unless she's fired. Go back to podcasting and tell the truth, because he couldn't do it as a government employee. Now, Bongino is seriously thinking about resigning from the FBI over Pam Bondi's mishandling of the Epstein files. She shouldn't have said, we've got the evidence, it's on my desk. She should have never went there if she had no intention on actually giving us good information. Giving out the binders that were full of old, redacted information. I mean, was she hosing us or was she getting hosed? I don't know which, but either way, she looks incompetent. Megyn Kelly says, I can confirm it's Bongino or Blondi, and the pick is obvious. Blondi must go. Breaking sources close to Dan Bongino tells me it's either him or Blondi. Several people, Laura Loomer says, He might not have a deputy director on Monday, but we could possibly see a weekend resignation from the FBI at Dan Bongino. Sources tell me that Kash Patel agrees with Bongino's sentiment and also agrees that Blondi needs to be removed from her post. So Kash Patel ain't happy with her either. It is getting ugly, folks. You know, the lie is going to get out. The truth is going to come out because the cover-up of the lie is so big, so obvious. People are not stupid. We know more about this case than they're willing to admit has happened, and that tells you it's a cover-up right there. It says more sources close to the DOJ say Kash Patel, who also wanted Blondi gone, said he'd consider leaving if Bongino leaves. That there are more frustrations with other documents Blondi hasn't released as well. So it's not just one thing, it's how Blondi's handling the situation, handling herself, or maybe how she's being handled by the deep state at the DOJ. That's what I think is going on, honestly. While Mr. Bongino is thinking about his future with the FBI, we're told that both the FBI Director Kash Patel and Attorney General have every intention to stay and serve. So Blondi and Kash Patel said they ain't quitting. That was reported as of a couple of hours ago. Okay. And it's still up in the air what's going to happen. Maybe Trump will come out and speak about it. Maybe Trump will have to pull them all into a meeting, and we'll get all on the same page as to what their narrative is about the Israeli involvement. I'm going to go ahead and say it, the Israeli involvement in the Jeffrey Epstein thing, the Massad involvement. See, they don't want to discuss the CIA or Massad's involvement with Jeffrey Epstein because they catered to his creepy behavior in order to get the goods on people, or something even more sinister than that. But I definitely, from every source that I believe is credible that is speaking about this, believe that Jeffrey Epstein was a Massad agent, and there's been several people say it over the years, including the great Rush Limbaugh. Check it out.
I think that's crystal clear. No question about it. So
tends to be the party guy, just like Diddy.
Drugs,
cameras, drugs.
The CIA, as part of MKO, had Operation Climax, where they would lure Zhongs in with drugs and prostitutes, and then this drunk CIA schmuck would sit on the opposite of a two-way mirror and take.
I thought this was Rush Limbaugh. This is actually a CIA whistleblower.
Notes on what, just evil, wicked stuff. And that's what they're using Epstein for, was blackmail operations. And they got some pretty high-level people snared into that. And they haven't released the entire list of close Epstein confidants. But, Israel's former prime minister was one of them.
Barack?
Yes, they got a picture of him visiting Epstein in his New York apartment. And he was well connected to Epstein, but that was all in secret. And that is the intelligence part of Massad. And of course, they couldn't do that without coordinating with the CIA.
I ask this question now, the more I learn, there just always seems to be this connection between the CIA and the Massad. And I'm going, is it just...
No,
they're the same organization. I think the more you look back into history, and it's always somehow the CIA and the Massad is there on the day that JFK gets shot. We learn about like MLK. We learn about 9/11, and I'm just going, okay, why does it seem like there's a union here, a marriage here?
Massad is like the sister of the CIA. They're joined at the hip, kind of like Siamese twins, and they use each other for intel and operations and things like that. They are extremely close and in an extremely sensitive relationship. Oh, yeah.
And it totally explains what Epstein was doing. And also Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, when he died, and didn't he die rather mysteriously? I'm not sure.
He fell off. He found dead off his yacht, floating in the water. They claimed it was a heart attack.
Of course.
Just when he was coming under scrutiny for arms dealing and connections with the CIA and being a Mossad agent, actually a double agent with Mossad and KGB. All of a sudden, he's found dead floating next to his yacht, and...
happens all the time.
Oh, yeah. It's just, just one of... I think that's crystal clear. No question.
He went for a swim without a life jacket, folks. That's what happened. You got to know that's what happened. He had that big fancy yacht, and he decided he would rather swim with the fishes than be on that yacht. And somehow or another, he must have had a heart attack while he was in the water. That's what happened. That guy looks a lot like Rush Limbaugh. A little younger, but definitely did. Now, Turning Point USA had a huge event, or is having a huge event over this weekend in Tampa Bay, Florida. And there are several people there that are just spot on. I've been listening to several hours of this, including Tucker Carlson discussing Ben Shapiro's statement about get over the Epstein thing. There's nothing to see here. Why are people still concerned about this? Well, Tucker's got the reason why people are still concerned about this, and I thought this was a very, very good monologue for the situation at hand.
Not acceptable. And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying that. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that. I've spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA. That has never prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things, murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting U.S. president. It's got a whole trail of crimes. That doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti-American in any sense. I was born here. My family's been here for hundreds of years. I love this country. That's why I live here. So criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes you a free person. It makes you a citizen. You're allowed to do that because you're not a slave. You're a citizen. And you have a right to expect that your government will not act against your interests, and you have a right to demand that foreign governments not be allowed to act against your interest. That's not creepy. It shouldn't be forbidden. And yet all of us have trained ourselves to believe that you can't say that somehow, that that's like too naughty and forbidden. And the effect of making that off limits has been to create a lot of resentment, and I'll say it, hate online, where people feel like they can't just say, like, what the hell is this? You have the former Israeli prime minister living in your house. You have had all this contact with the foreign government. Were you working on behalf of Massad? Were you running a blackmail operation on behalf of foreign government? By the way, every single person in Washington, D.C. thinks that. I've never met anyone who doesn't think that. I don't know any of them that hate Israel, but no one feels they can say that. Why? And I think the longer that we play along with it, the more subterranean and creepy and hateful the conversation actually becomes. So I think it's better just to say it right out loud. Did this happen? And of course, that question has been asked to the government of Israel, and their answer is, we're not going to tell you. And I think our answer should be, no. As long as we're sending you money, if you were committing crimes on our soil, we have an absolute right to know, did you do this or not? And yet everybody has been so brainwashed into thinking that's somehow an expression of hate or bigotry, when it's not. It's a baseline question that every U.S. citizen has a right to an answer on. What the hell was this? And by the way, if it turns out that it was nothing.
The Democrat Party is usually screaming and throwing a fit anytime we want information on anything, especially when it pertains to the truth. They try to suppress the truth. But it seems like the Epstein story that is blowing up in the Republicans' face because some of the Republican Party is mad about the cover-up and the fact that we trusted Blondi, Trump, and Cash Patel to go in there and tell us the truth, and now we find out there is no truth. It's not working for the American people, and like Tucker said, we are all American citizens, and if they'd have just told us, look, this is too sensitive material, it involves other countries, we may not have agreed with their summation, but we would have at least said, oh, well, I kind of get it. Other countries are involved, but in reality, I don't care what country you're from or what country you're running. If you're a creepo, pedo, You need to be exposed and locked up, no matter what the consequences. That's just the fact, folks. God's going to sort these people out in His due time, but we also need to take care of them right here in our time.
Listen, I like Stephen A. Smith. I've liked him for a long time.
Basically, we need justice, folks. We need exposure. We need investigations that involve people actually going to jail. All right, folks, I jumped out of that video on accident. This was Alex Jones. I just wanted to put it out there. Just one of the things that he happened to say I thought was excellent. He kind of like Tucker has the same sentiment about it's probably foreign nations. All right, folks, let's see if I can get down here and scroll to the... Oh, did I lose it? Hold on. Going back looking for the Alex Jones. Apologize, folks. Oh, let's see. Did I back out of that video? We're gonna go ahead and play a little bit of the video
was
here.
endlessly visited by.
This is actually 5 known facts about Epstein. This is a crazy video. I don't know that 100% of this is true. A lot of this you're probably gonna have to fact check yourself, but it involves the fact that every president for the last 4 or 5 presidents was involved. Not just with our 3-lettered agencies, but involved with Epstein through our 3-lettered agencies.
By world leaders, including Ehud Barak, the former Prime Minister of Israel, and countless others. Now, what's curious about that row house is that his next-door neighbor while there, again to Jeffrey Epstein, was none other than Howard Lutnick, the Jewish individual who is Donald Trump's Secretary of Commerce. So one of the most powerful people of the Trump administration was living next door to Jeffrey Epstein. Number 2.
That doesn't really mean anything to me. My neighbors may be creepy. I wouldn't know.
Ghislaine Maxwell, the famed right-hand woman of Jeffrey Epstein, also Jewish, is of course photographed endlessly with people like Donald Trump, with Elon Musk, with Hillary and Bill Clinton. Ghislaine also, of course, was at the wedding of Chelsea Clinton. Very curious. And Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert, was not only an Israeli super spy, there's an entire book about his esteemed life doing so and spying on behalf of Massad and Israel, but also a billionaire whose personal friend, Samuel Pizar, happens to also be the stepfather to none other than Secretary Anthony Tony Blinken, who, under the Biden administration, many people claimed was running the country. Joe Biden's children, all married Jews. Kamala Harris married a Jew. But the person running the country not only was Jewish, but also a longtime family friend of none other than Robert Maxwell, father of Ghislaine. Number 3.
Now, this guy's predicate on this fun 5 most known facts on Epstein involves all of these people that were surrounding Epstein that were rich, powerful Jewish people. I don't agree with this predicate on this, but I do think some of his information is accurate, not necessarily because they were Jewish, they were involved, this, that, and the other. I'm not going to go down that road because I don't believe that's the way it works. I just believe that these were people that were in the know because they were crooked, because they were corrupt, and I don't think their religious or ethnic background really has a whole lot to do with this. Maybe it does, maybe it don't. What he's trying to do is he's trying to paint that Israel is the problem here, and I agree that Israel is probably part of the reason this secret has been kept for so long. But truth be known, I can't swear as that it's a Jewish conspiracy to control America that he was going down. But you're welcome to watch the full 5-minute video. It's definitely interesting. But his opinion kind of goes off the rails for me a little bit there. But he definitely has got some facts that are just out there. All right, folks. Let me see if I can type in Alex Jones and find this video I was looking for. We're going to go. Bear with me, folks. here directly, I will show you what AI is telling me about my job. The other day at my job, we had a huge meeting, a big fancy meeting, president of the company coming, all that type of stuff, because we had a huge contract that is now in process of being fulfilled, a 5-year-long contract. But we'll get into that here directly. Let's see if we can find this Alex Jones video real quick. Here it is right here. Okay, now Stephen A. Smith, just like Ben Shapiro, basically said, "Why are y'all shocked about this whole situation with the Epstein list?" Well, it's because we want justice, and it's not about Trump. It's not about the Republican Party. It's about truth and justice. No matter where you stand in this country, we want the truth. I don't care if you vote or you don't, whether you consider yourself politically activated or not. You should want children to be protected, criminals to go to jail, lies to be uncovered, cover-ups to be exposed. Just the normal things. Not this fake and shake bullshit from the Pam Blondi. Alright, folks, let's get into this.
I want him to succeed. But I told people when this broke last Sunday or whatever, I said, this is a firestorm. Not with me, but with the public. You see the shake-up at the DOJ, the FBI, Bongino about to resign, Patel, all of it. This is a big deal, guys, because those files, those videos, that information is there. It's come out in court, a whole bunch of it. So Ben Shapiro can say it doesn't exist. It does, and that's the issue now. It's being told nothing ever happened. There's no list, there's no blackmail, nobody ever human trafficked, even though his partner in crime, Ghislaine, went to prison for it, even though her dad was Massad, MI6, running it in mainstream news articles 15, 20 years ago. I mean, look, we're just informed, Smith. So I'm glad you're starting to get caught up and get woke up here, and I get it. I'm in horror over this. I want Trump to succeed. I need him to. The Democrats are going to put me in prison. But we're not like Democrats. They're in a cult and just accept what the leadership says. We put Trump in power, and so people are pissed off. I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. The public is getting pissed, okay? This is a major miscalculation for whatever reason this happened. That's the facts, okay? That's what's going on. We're not a cult. And so we demand more from our populist leaders than the Democrats do from their communist pedophile leaders. Got it? That's it. We don't want Trump or the DOJ, anybody joining in on the Epstein cover-up. We know what went on. It's the key of the deep state. We're not going to stop. Streisand effect in effect. Comprende?
He's absolutely right. This is only going to get worse if the cover-up doesn't stop. That's just what I believe. This has been going hot and heavy since the last week, since 4th of July weekend, and it's not going away. It's been 7 days, and it's been in the news cycle on every podcaster's channel, including mine. It has been the hottest topic on trending on X for days and days and days. This is not going away. Everybody's starting to weigh in on this and draw lines in the sand, including the Maga base getting really pissed off with the fact that Trump kind of wants to squash this deal too. And now we're starting to kind of get an idea as to why everybody's playing the cover-up game, and it's probably because this is bigger than what we realize, involved with not just a couple of our three-lettered agencies, CIA, DOJ, and stuff, but also three-lettered agencies from other countries, and that's the problem right there. Now, at my job, they're having a hiring fair this week, and they are literally trying to hire as many people as they can that have the qualifications to help come build planes. No doubt about it, they have massive amounts of contracts at L3 Harris. I work here in Waco. I've never had to sign a non-disclosure agreement through my job, so I'm assuming that I can talk about not what I see on the property so much, but what AI has put out there and what I can confirm working there. I'm not allowed to take any photographs of any of the planes on the property. None of the what do they call them? Sky Wardens. That's a cool little crop duster plane they make out there. The P-8 Poseidons, I see those every day. They've got C-130, C-5s, C-27s, Navy planes, NASA planes. So many different planes that they retrofit, they maintenance, repair, do several different things like that here at this particular L3 that I work at. They don't actually build the planes here. They add accessories to planes where I work and retrofit them, basically. But I just thought it was pretty neat that the company I work for was awarded a $1.1 billion contract. And this is just one of the many contracts they have over a P-8 Poseidon plane. It is a Navy aircraft. It's a mid-sized plane. It says L3 Harris Technologies delivered the first overhauled P-8 Poseidon aircraft to the U.S. Navy Naval Air System Command, marking a key milestone in enhancing the fleet's readiness and support the Navy's operational goals. The delivery is part of a larger program involving depot maintenance, repair, overhaul of the Navy's fleet of 139 P-8 Poseidon aircraft. The work is being performed under the contract awarded in 2024, with efforts beginning the same year at L3 Harris Modification Facility in Waco. The project is expected to continue through 2029. L3 Harris is currently overhauling 7 additional P-8 aircrafts, all on the property at the moment, all of which are expected to be delivered within the year. Yes, folks, we got tons of planes where I work. It says the P-8 Poseidon aircraft is a critical mission for including maritime patrol, long-range anti-sub warfare, anti-surface warfare, and intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. Now, one of the things that these planes do that I guess I can talk about, because I read this here online, is they sniff for the diesel fumes coming off of submarines underneath the ocean floor. So this plane, half a mile in the sky, can smell submarines underneath the water. That's pretty amazing stuff, folks. That's what they're doing out there. Lots of neat, intricate technical stuff that I couldn't begin to explain or talk about due to the fact I want to keep my job. But it is definitely an experience to see all this neat stuff going on around me, and just cool stuff. And one of the other things that I thought was really neat while I was reading, asking AI about L3 Harris and their new Poseidon program, says L3 Harris is also trying to get the contract for the Golden Dome defense system. Matter of fact, the president of the company has hired some guy, I can't pronounce his name, to lay out the logistics of where and how we would set up this Golden Dome missile defense system, because L3 wants the contract since they are big in the satellite business already, so it would be just hand in glove to make it work. It says no visual pictures are available here on Grok, but you're welcome to go try to find them on L3 Harris's website as well. I went over there and I have not seen a single picture of one of these planes on the website yet, but maybe you could just go look it up if you so choose. It is called the P-8 Poseidon. Won't do it here just for whatever their purposes are, but it is definitely an interesting situation going on. Not really newsworthy information, but I think the fact that the company I work for may be getting the contract to be a part of building the Golden Dome, I decided I'd share that with y'all. And the fact that I work for a place that gets big contracts, working for a defense contractor. Not me personally. I work for a subcontractor on the property of the defense contractor, which is, like I said, L3 Harris. It says they anticipate 9 aircraft induction during the first contract year, and 7 currently undergoing overhaul and are expected to be delivered this year at the moment. So they got 7 in process and a couple more they want to get done before the end of the year, making it a total of 9. All right, folks, that's what I got for you here today. Hopefully everybody enjoyed. Just thought I'd let y'all know a little bit of something about what's going on with my job. Also, something else that's going on around here at the house. I'm going to be feeding the homeless this weekend like I do every weekend through the abilities of getting this food at my job and some of my listeners that contribute as well. And thank you again to Mr. Donald Strickland for donating to the channel, allowing me to be able to do a little more, go a little further with this. We're going to have a glorious week on my Sunday live. Come join us. Sunday about lunchtime. We're going to be bagging up. We're going to be bagging up groceries. Got more food this week than I think I've ever had. Probably enough to feed at least 50 people. That's the goal. We're going to feed 50 people this week. And we're going to give out 100 pair of socks, folks. I have got socks out the wazoo. I've literally got crates and crates of socks that I've been ordering online. So we're going to get it done, folks. Come Sunday, we're not just going to feed them. We're going to give them snacks. We're going to give them sodas and water, something to drink, and everybody's going to get their choice of 2 pair of socks, every one of them. Going to pass out at least 100 pair of socks and at least 50 blessing bags, folks. It's going to be a glorious weekend. Come join us on the live Sunday afternoon. Just trying to share some blessings, encourage everybody to be kind to your fellow man, even in these harshest of times. That's what I got for you today, folks. Hopefully everybody enjoyed. Thank you for listening. Have a great